This Saturday on July 20th, Platinum Mike Perry goes one-on-one with the problem child, Jake Paul. And today, we're asking the question, who will come out victorious? Let's talk about it. So yes, the fight that no one expected, Jake Paul versus Mike Perry. Well, especially after Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson got pushed to November. But I'm not complaining. If anything, I'm actually looking forward to this more than the Tyson fight. Because even though Mike Perry is not a through and through boxer, we'll get to that later, he is a tough competitor, as shown by his BKFC bouts. I mean, just ask Luke Rockhold. And let's not forget, he is the champion of that organization, which only solidifies his warrior spirit. And when it comes to this matchup with the problem child, I could see it being a real scrappy affair. Hopefully in a fun to watch way, and not like Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley too. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this bout, as it's been a while since we've seen Jake tested, as the last time he was actually tested was the Nate Diaz fight. And I know, Jake did win that fight, but he got tested when it came to Nate's pressure and if he could handle that volume. And since that matchup was nearly a whole year ago, it will be nice to see how Paul has improved in that time frame, as his fight against Andre August and Ryan Borland didn't really show that. And since Perry is tough like Diaz, but possesses better boxing ability, then I think this will be a fun fight to watch. And we'll get to see where the problem child's level really is. Okay, so now the big question. Who do I think will come out victorious? Honestly, even though I would love to see a Mike Perry upset, especially as it would skyrocket him to the next level, I'm going to have to go with the problem child, Jake Paul, for a variety of reasons. First, the weight in this fight is at cruiserweight, which is 175 to 200 pounds. And Jake used to fight at 185, especially in his earlier fights. But as of late, he started to come in at 199, whereas Mike Perry, on the other hand, fought in the UFC at 170 at his heaviest, and at 185 in bare knuckle. Now the reason this is important is because Mike Perry is going to have to balloon all the way up to around 200 pounds, which he's definitely not used to, and fight someone who's not only used to that weight in Jake Paul, but as we've seen, has big time power. And let's not forget, when Tyron Woodley fought Jake Paul, T-Wood weighed in at 185, and he was used to fighting at 170 in the UFC. And look what happened to him. And I get it, Tyron Woodley and Mike Perry are not the same fighter. In fact, you could argue they're almost polar opposites, with Woodley being the composed fighter and Perry being the more aggressive one. So yeah, I do think the weight is going to play a big factor. Another reason is the experience of the problem child, as Jake has been boxing for around 4 years as a pro, and Perry began doing bare knuckle since 2021, so Jake definitely has the edge when it comes to the squared circle. And even though bare knuckle is similar to boxing in a sense, there are a lot of differences. For example, in bare knuckle, you can't really throw as hard, as you run the risk of potentially damaging your hand. Whereas in boxing, you can throw as hard or as soft as you want. And since the weight is on Jake's side, a overhand right from the problem child is going to feel like a rock on Perry's face. And I know Mike Perry is tough, and he will be able to take a lot of shots from Paul, and will probably give some as well. But it's the accumulation of damage that I think will be the deciding factor. And with how Mike Perry got dropped in his fight against Michael Seals, getting caught in the middle of a combo, and with how Jake Paul knocked down Anderson Silva, I could see a similar fate for the bare knuckle champion. And if you look at how Perry gets caught when he boxes, it's by his movement which ends up getting him caught. And with Jake having the height and weight advantage, I could see something similar to his bout with Anisong Gibb. And with the weight difference, we have seen it in other fights. Canelo versus Jermell Charlo is a great example, with Charlo having to jump up 2 weight classes for the fight, which definitely showed whenever Canelo landed a big power shot. But yeah, overall, I am looking forward to this bout. I think it will be very rough and entertaining, and since Perry is the bare knuckle champion, he can take a loss since it's not in his field of combat. So yeah, when it comes to the winner, I am going to go with Jake Paul. But I will say this, there is something kind of poetic about this fight, as 3 years ago, they had that infamous spar, and Jake was a beginner in the boxing ring, and Mike was still training MMA, and now 3 years later, they both accomplished so much, from highlight reel knockouts to becoming bare knuckle champion. And on July 20th in Tampa, Florida, the score will finally be settled. Will the student Jake Paul surpass the master in platinum Mike Perry? Or will Mike do the unthinkable and shock the world? Let me know in the comments below, leave a like, subscribe, and more importantly, take care.